Isaiah says of this country, "You have forgotten Yahweh, your Savior. You have separated yourself from your fortress. Though you set out the finest plants," of course the U.S. is the world's leading food producer, "and plant imported vines," a reference to Christians, "though you make them grow, when it is time for the final harvest, there will be nothing but incurable disease and pain." Next, the prophet says something that sounds like he's been watching the worldwide uproar against America following our invasion of Iraq. "Oh, the raging of many nations, they rage like the raging sea. Oh, the roar of the people, they roar like the roaring of great waters. Although the people roar like surging waters, when rebuked they flee, driven before the wind like chaff on a hill, like tumbleweeds before a gale." Describing the methods of Islamic jihadists and America's inability to see them for what they really are, Isaiah reports, "In the evening, sudden terror. Before morning, they are gone. This is the portion of those who loot us, the lot of those who plunder us." While Muslims see America as Israel's best friend, this nation has actually been the only country to loot the young state, and the U.S. has done it repeatedly. Following each Arab-Israeli conflict, America has taken the lead in demanding that Israel abandon the Sinai, abandon Lebanon, abandon the Golan, abandon Gaza, abandon East Jerusalem, and abandon the West Bank. This was done to improve America's relations with Islamic nations, so that their dictators would either buy American military hardware or sell oil more cheaply. The U.S. required Israel to give up something they possessed to gain something America wanted. Continuing to speak of what may be America, Isaiah says, "Woe to the land of whirling wings," could well be ancient Hebrew for airplane or helicopter, the symbols of America's military might. "Past the rivers of Cush," which means west of Africa from the perspective of Israel, that sends envoys and ambassadors by sea and ships. They are swift messengers from a tall and smooth-skinned people, feared far and wide, an aggressive nation of strange speech whose land is divided by rivers. From the perspective and vocabulary of a man writing nearly 3,000 years ago, that's a pretty respectable description of America circa the dawn of the 21st century. Perhaps speaking of the power of television, Isaiah shares a vision that was impossible until recently. "All you people of the world, you who live on the earth, when a banner is raised on the mountains, you will see it. When the trumpet sounds, you will hear it. This is what Yahweh said to me. I will remain quiet and will look on from my dwelling place, like shimmering heat in the sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of the harvest." That is to say, the calamity that is to come will come from man and not from God. Yahweh is just reporting what will occur. He tells us that His truth remains illuminating and that He will remain as close to us as the dew is to the harvest. The harvest, in biblical nomenclature, could be the reaping of souls in the rapture, when those with Yahweh's Spirit are harvested from the earth and called to Him. This rapture is the final predicted event prior to the peace treaty and the beginning of the tribulation. For before the harvest, when the blossom is gone and the flower becomes a ripening grape, He will cut off the shoots with pruning knives and cut down and take away the spreading branches. They will all be left to the birds of prey. If this is a description of America, then we are being told that before the rapture, the nation will be pruned and that our influence around the globe will be cut back. The prophet goes on to speak about Egypt, the nation that starts the war. He says that the Nile will dry up, that brother will fight brother, and that they will lose heart. Egypt is the center of Islamic scholarship today. He says, "Where are your wise men now? Let them show you and make known what Yahweh has planned for Egypt. The officials have become like fools, the leaders are deceived, and have led many astray, pouring into them a spirit of dizziness. They make Egypt stagger as a drunkard in its own vomit." The land of Israel will bring terror to the Egyptians. Fortunately, a remnant of the Egyptians and Assyrians will return to Yahweh, and He will bless them. Following Muhammad's example, the Saudis will consider themselves too important to fight. They flee from the sword and from the heat of battle. Their warriors will be few. Isaiah reports what will ultimately occur in the Middle East, the heart of the nation of Islam. Like the whirlwind sweeping through the Southland, an invader comes from the desert, from the land of terror. A dire vision has been shown to me. The traitor betrays, the looter loots. Iran's alliance lays siege. I will bring to an end all of the groaning she has caused. Speaking in first person about Israel, Isaiah predicts, "At this my body is racked with pain, like a woman in labor. I am staggered by what I hear. I am bewildered by what I see. Fear makes me tremble. The twilight I longed for has become a horror to me." Ultimately, he predicts, the earth will be laid waste and plundered, defiled by its people. They have disobeyed the instructions and broken the covenant. Therefore they must bear the guilt. The earth's inhabitants are burned up, and very few are left. All the merrymakers groan. The cities are desolate. The doors to homes are barred. All joy turns to gloom. Islam does this to humankind. With treachery, the treacherous betray. Terror, pit and snare await you, people of the earth. Whoever flees at the sound of terror will fall into a pit. Whoever climbs out of the pit will be caught by a snare. Collectively, these dire predictions of the winds of war should be sufficient for you to want to be part of the solution rather than the problem. For ultimately, Yahweh prevails. He wins the final battle, Armageddon, where all of the world's armies march into Israel, only to be thwarted. Death loses its sting. Disease exists no more. Suffering is abolished. Evil is removed from the earth, and man lives in the very presence of his Maker. Yes, unwittingly, Islam predicted its own demise. It will be extinguished as it was born. Muhammad was unable to give his followers a reason to live, so he gave all Muslims a reason to die. And tragically they shall. Allah's prophet sacrificed 3 billion souls on the altar of his own selfish ambitions. The Messiah was the inverse of Muhammad. He made himself a living sacrifice, building a bridge between our polluted world and his perfect one. He died that we might live. He lives that we might never die.